Good morning, everybody. Since first following Making a Murderer, I watched it in February of 2016, and I first sent my first email to Sheriff Herman to tell him how appalled I was at what I saw in March, and by April I'd had my first phone conversation with him. We had many phone conversations, at least a dozen, most of which were between 20 and 30 minutes. I've also exchanged a lot of emails on Twitter, believe it or not, with Ken Kratz, and I've obviously exchanged emails with Michael Griesbach and quite a few others who, in their various degrees, are members of what we would call the Gilter community. They try and persist this ludicrous and absurd claim that Steve and Brendan are guilty. So I suppose I do have quite a long history of speaking with and talking with and exchanging thoughts and comments with various people. I always remember that one of the things that the producers of Making a Murderer, Laura and Moira, once pointed out was that yes, Ken Kratz is entitled to his own opinion, but he's not entitled to his own facts. And the same I would say to Sheriff Herman and Mike Griesbach. You're not entitled to your own facts on the subject, facts which we have now seen, thanks mainly due to the efforts of Kathleen Zellner. When I went to the rally in Manitowoc last year, I was actually looking forward to meeting a lot of local people and handing out a leaflet that I had designed, a pamphlet that I designed and had printed. And I actually handed out most of them at the rally. So let's have a look and see what I wrote. I've since, I must admit, since I first did this, I've actually updated it. But here's what I wrote, and I should explain that I got a message this morning. Somebody's involved in a discussion group with guilters. What should I? What questions would you put forward? Again, that's something I've been doing now for a long time, and something which, as I say, I even prepared this flyer. And at the time, that was the text on the back of it, which I will show you right now. Hopefully, I will just make sure, as usual, that everything is working as it should do. Well, I mean, making sure is there. Because there was one occasion when I had inadvertently not put up the screen share. So what I wrote on the back of this flyer was that obviously some people in Wisconsin and Manitowoc in particular are unhappy that the hugely popular Netflix documentary Making a Murderer has made them look bad. The interest in the plights of Teresa Halbach, Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey has grown since the documentary was first released. And you know, I had an appointment in town at Boots Opticians to get my regular eye check. And all the members of staff there had all watched Making a Murderer. And they all said, is Steve and Brendan, are they out yet? The interest has grown since the documentary was first released. It's just a huge worldwide, as the Americans would call it, phenomenon. Now, okay, if Steve and Brendan really are the cold-hearted murderers of Teresa that the state say they are, then there's a very simple way of proving that. One that will not even cost them, the state, anything. Simply stop procrastinating and give all the evidence to Kathleen Zellner for her experts to test at zero cost to the state. Remember, Kathleen has always maintained that if her client is guilty, they would be a fool to hire her, as she will find out the truth. So why do they continue to deny her access to all of the evidence, thus perpetuating the grief of the Holbachs? Now, they have given her several items, most notably the bullet, which was discovered to have wood embedded in it. How do we end up with a bullet that went through Teresa Halbach and it's got wood in it? Since when was Teresa Halbach Pinocchio? They've also given her the hood latch swab, which had 90 times more DNA on it than it should have. The car key, which was found in Steve's bedroom, which had 20 times more DNA on it than it should have. And a CD of a report on a computer kept in Bobby Dassey's bedroom, which had been described by Ken Kratz as being Brendan's computer and containing nothing of evidentiary value. But during Brendan's trial, the only evidence against him was his coerced confession. So why weren't the contents of the computer, which included thousands of sick, deranged, pornographic images, used to help prosecute Brendan? Well, because thanks to the time of day that the images were searched and viewed, it proves that it wasn't Brendan's computer, and that whoever was using the computer, remember, when only Bobby was home, should have been high on the list of suspects, having achieved the Denny third-party threshold of access, means, and motive. And of course, we now know the state have declined to offer Kathleen Zellner any more evidence to test, and most notably the car, which they've given her the huge runaround about, and its damaged indicator. And remember, the cremains that were discovered off of the Avery salvage yard. Indeed, we now know that some of those cremains, which at trial were described as being merely possibly human, were handed back to the Holbachs. It all begs the question, what have the state got to hide? Now, of course, Stacy Seabrook, in one of his songs, has the iconic line, 80 more things. And of course, Denise Rainey at the rally that I was at in 2019 had produced a large board where all of these 80 more things were on it. And of course, Fen and Julie, Fen and Julie have done a series of podcasts, 80 More Things. And so you can check on these 80 more things, because Fen actually tweeted in the 80 days leading up to the rally, the 80 more things. My favorite of the 80 more things, I think most of you know this one, is number 63. Why did Mike Holbach refer to a grieving process in an interview whilst Teresa is still only a missing person? Why did he say that? And why, oh why, did the press not immediately alert the police about what he had just said? If Steven Avery had made that comment that the grieving process could last days, weeks, years, that would have been taken as an admission of guilt. That would have been interpreted as a confession. Instead, what do we have? Nothing. Michael Hallback never been asked about this. The press just give him a very easy passage. And it's been suggested to me, and this is utter nonsense. It's been suggested to me that, well, it was a slip of the tongue because of the pressure he was under. Well, yes, certainly it was a slip of the tongue. He's completely given the game away. Family members are the last ones to accept that anything bad has happened to a missing family member, first of all. But how do we explain the fact that this grieving process could last days? What process are we on about that could last days? I put these questions to Ken Kratz, and he just stopped speaking to me altogether. I think it's Mike Hallback is somebody who needs to answer a lot of questions. Another thing that was pointed out to me was the fact that during Brendan's sentencing, if Mike Hallback genuinely believes that Brendan took part in this awful attack on her sister, why, oh why, is he suggesting that Brendan should have taken the plea bargain, which would have secured him a 20-year sentence? There's so many things, as I say, 80 more things. We could easily make that up to 90 and 100 more things. I'm pretty sure the song is Illusion of Justice, but because Stacey has done so many excellent songs, I might be wrong. Mark would know. Hi, Mark. Which song is it that Stacey does that's got 80 more things in it? The line 80 more things. I reckon it's Illusion of Justice. But I could be wrong. Anyway, that's they would be my main questions. I think particularly the question of why, if this computer is being stipulated to Dean and Jerry by Kratz as being Brendan's computer and having nothing of evidentiary value, why, when we now know what was on that computer, why was that not used as evidence against Brendan? I think it speaks for itself, doesn't it? How do we get to this situation where the state, behind everybody's back, has gone into the evidence room, gathered up a load of cremains from nearly a mile away, some of them, and decided we're going to hand these back to the Hallbacks. Anyway, wonder how AC does in court today. Well, yeah, we'll wait and see. Anyway, that was all I was really wanting to say, was that just present, as I say, that little. I say this was the little flyer that I had done for handing out at Raleigh. As I say, I've since updated it, and well, I think that's really all I wanted to say about that. What you could do though is certainly in the comments below, put down, if you were going to ask a guilter, what would be your sort of main questions? What would be the ones that you would particularly want them to answer? Certainly when I spoke with Sheriff Herman, I still remember his sheepish bit of conversation where he said to me, "I know you're not going to believe this, but you do know that not all the searches of Stephen Avery's bedroom were for hours on end, were hour longs. Some of them were just 10-minute sweeps." And I just said, "Robert, I can tell by the tone of your voice and the way you've expressed that question. You are embarrassed to perpetuate that narrative. That is just ludicrous. 10 minutes would be more than adequate to find that key behind the cabinet if it was truly there." Anyway, I'm gonna shut up and let you, as I say, post your favorite questions if you had a chance to speak with a guilter. What would be your questions to them? One of the problems you are going to find with guilters is that some of them are going to have very, very little knowledge of the case. They're just going to produce the rhetoric that, well, there was Steve's blood found in the car, end of story. Well, no. Interesting, isn't it, that it's Jean Couchet in the depositions, that when they're talking about Steve being exonerated in 2003, he says, "Well, you know that he's innocent. I don't. I want to know where that DNA came from. Has DNA ever been planted?" How prophetic. Yeah, spot on, Gene. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to say cheerio because I've got to crack on. And we'll see you all soon. Bye for now.